Hey, welcome to the MVP show. Today I'm here with Joel Leichty. He's the Director of Products and BI at SA Global. Since around 2005, an MVP since 2013. Interesting story here. He recently is no longer, as in 8 days ago, is no longer an MVP. And so it's going to be great to have a chat, like this type of chat we haven't had before, and just understand that journey for him. Full show notes for this episode can be found at nz365guy.com/227. Hey, Joel, welcome to the MVP show.
Hey, Mark, thanks for having me. So happy that you invited me today.
Yeah, it's great to have you on the show. I always like to kind of get an understanding of origin, So tell us a bit about where you're from. What do you do when you're kind of not working, and what's the best thing to do kind of in your part of the world?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think the most interesting thing that's been happening in my life is more recent. My wife and I started a nomadic lifestyle. So we are just traveling around the U.S., staying at Airbnbs, and, just going from city to city. So far we've been to Idaho and Montana and Seattle. The COVID kind of slowed us down.
I bet.
Like it did everybody, but we are kind of enjoying the lifestyle. So that's kind of our focus right now, is just on our adventure that we've started this year.
Nice. My wife and I did it for 18 months. We basically, I took a year sabbatical. She resigned from her job at Google, and we traveled for 18 months. And nomadic, like you say, we became one of the top tier Airbnb users. Got invited to various user panels with Airbnb because we're using them so much, particularly across Europe. So know what it's like.
Yeah, that's great. So you did it in Europe?
Yeah. I mean, our journey started in China, and then we went across Russia, and then down and spent the rest of the time all through Europe. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. We have to be in the U.S. We are working while we're doing it. We're not just on a long vacation, but my wife's work requires her to be in the continental U.S. So that's our playground right now.
Okay. And of course, COVID must have really thrown the spanner in the works for you. How has it changed your plans?
Well, funny enough, it's almost like everything we had planned. We had a whole spreadsheet. Here's what we're going to do for 6 months. Yeah, none of that happened. So it was almost kind of funny how much, things changed. For the most part, it kind of changed where we were targeting to go, because the fortunate part of this whole deal is we get to be a little more selective about where we're going to go. And so we picked places like Montana that were, less populated, and we're trying to avoid bigger cities, go to some smaller cities and some more sparsely populated places, just because, there's less COVID, the less number of people there are. So that's kind of changed our plan a little bit, but for the most part, it's the same deal. Just, it kind of depends on where you can find a place for a month to settle down, because, Airbnbs are kind of random. So we just look on the site, find the next place and book it.
Yeah, really good. Really good. What's been the highlight so far?
I would have to say, so we randomly found a organic farm in the middle of nowhere, Montana, with some great hosts, and like fresh greens from their garden and eggs from the chickens that are running around the yard and that kind of thing. And that was just great. I was actually in between jobs at the time, so I did get some vacation then and just got to relax on this farm and just get back to nature for a month. So it was so good.
So we're recording this podcast 9 days after, 9 days in my time zone, since MVP renewals happened. And unfortunately, this time around, you didn't get renewed. Tell us a bit about what that feeling was like when you found out.
Yes, I will. I was definitely bummed. No question about it. I had applied. I don't know if everybody. I don't think a lot of people understand the MVP process. It is something you have to apply to every year, and it's not like you don't like just get kicked out. You have to like try again every time. I think it is a bit easier to stay an MVP than to become an MVP. So there's, you do have a leg up because they know you and your work a little bit. But anyways, that's the process. So I did apply again, um, and you know, I, I wasn't surprised. I think a lot of MVPs, such as myself, are kind of like, did I do enough in the last year? And I was definitely feeling that way, and so I wasn't sure, and then it ended up getting the unfortunate decline email, um, and yeah, I think um, part of it for me, I've had a lot of changes. I've had a job change, I've had a lifestyle change of being a nomad. There's a lot of things going on, so part of it for me is sort of continuing that process of what do I want to do, and what is the next phase for me, um, and what do I want to be focusing on as part of this whole program. I think sometimes, I don't know about you, but sometimes I feel like, you know, I was very much focused on maybe the prestige of being an MVP, but not necessarily on the community as much. Work and life kind of gets in the way. And so part of my disappointment is also kind of rethinking and saying, okay, what do I want to do? What have I done in the past, and what do I want to be doing going forward, to help the community? And so that's a lot of it for me, is just kind of refocusing and being a bit introspective about what I want to do.
So, in the past, my understanding was your CPM would generally get in touch with you, a month, 6 weeks out and say, hey, you're looking a bit borderline, from a contributions point of view. Is there anything you've missed, And of course, they've made it pretty clear, I think, definitely this year, and if not last year as well, that they're not going to give any heads up. It's basically the day the MVPs find out or get the email that, welcome, congratulations, and all those MVPs start releasing their humbled and honored tweets and posts to LinkedIn. You the same day. I don't know whether it's before or after. You of course would have got an email that said, join the MVP alum program or something to that effect. And sorry you didn't make it this year. Is that how it went down?
Uh, Mostly, yes. A little bird did give me a heads up one day in advance, so I did I did find out it was coming. But I think that was basically the process, is finding out around the same time that everybody else was, um, that I hadn't made it. So I think everybody gets an email that day, and you can get one of two emails basically.
Did it for you come down to just the lack of contributions to the community? Was that the just not enough compared to your peers? What category you're in? You were in the F&O side of things, is that right? Of biz apps?
Yes, correct. Business. Yes, that's where I've been in the past. I've kind of changed my focus recently, but they don't really say why. So I would I could only guess. I did have contributions last year. I did some public speaking. I did some blogging, but um, so I don't know. There's no exact science to it. It's more subjective. So I don't know.
How many years were you in the program?
I was there from 2013 to 2020. So yeah, 7 or 8 awards. I can't remember how many discs I have. All my discs are packed up in a storage unit in Colorado, so I don't know.
Wow. So do you think that's it, as in for you from an MVP? Like that's part of your career that that was, well, it became part of your career. Is it something that you think that's in your future plans, that you would want to get back into the program? Like, is it something that you're like, or do you really see it as that was a great period of a time in your career and your contribution to the community, and but you're moving on to other things?
I can honestly say I don't know. I don't know if I would reapply, if I got nominated. What I can say is there's some really cool community events coming up, started by some people in my circles, including my new boss at the consulting firm that I'm at, Dynamic Consulting. But they started a new user group called DynamicsCon. Looks really fun. If you haven't, I don't know if you've
Yeah,
seen
I've
any of
seen it.
the.
I've seen it around. There's been lots of speculation and market about what it's all about.
What I understand it's all about is just kind of getting back to free community sharing ideas with each other, and that's what I want to get back to. And if there's trophies at the end of that, great. But I want to get back to focusing on doing presentations, and I want to get back to just having fun. I think years ago, that's what it was for me. It was a fun thing. I like to be funny. I like to have a blog that's a little more lighthearted and not quite so just dense from a lot of, uh, I don't want to comment on other people's blogs, but I think it's a lot of the types of blogs, right? In technology is just very dense topic material, and my goal is to have fun and be funny. And so that's what I want to get back to.
Nice, nice. What else do you know about DynamicsCon, as in the thoughts, the plans, that type of thing?
I know that everybody listening to this should nominate my session, 8.5 things I wish I knew when I started working with Power BI. It's a, it's a, so anybody can submit, and there's going to be voting on the top sessions. It's the first time for this particular event, so I think in many ways it's probably still taking shape in terms of exactly what it's going to look like and the tools and all that stuff. But I think it's the goal is to have a community event where we're all as a community voting on things and enjoying the presentations. And if you look at the website, just the whole flavor of it just looks more lighthearted. Like, I probably, for some other user groups, I would not have submitted the same title because I was trying to be cheeky, and that's not necessarily the style that some things are going for. So the whole superhero theme to the site and kind of the fun theme, that's what I have taken from some of my conversations about it, that it's really supposed to be.
Yeah, well, you can see it's lighthearted. I'm looking at it now, and it's got a cloud that looks like it's farting. Dynamics come there, so yeah, I can see that. I can see that. So there's a bit of the chit chat, of course, happening. Maybe not necessarily in the public domain, but maybe in some back channels. Is that Dynamics Communities, or DCI, which has run these events for years. There's been whispers that that's obviously some staff from there and now on DynamicCon. It looks like it's playing right into that playing field of where they were playing with their kind of in-person events. But I can see this model here is 100% virtual, which I think is very smart. What have you heard around the chit chat in that respect?
Yeah, what I would say is, I mean, when it comes to community, I think there's room for all types of community, and I don't necessarily see it as competition. I think when you look at Dynamics communities, they morphed from they. I think a lot of what they morphed into is an event management type firm. That's really what they're focused on, is putting on these in-person events. And that's great. I think other than the COVID thing kind of throwing a wrench in it, I mean, I think, that there's a need for that, and there's a need for that kind of community. And I've presented at those events for years. So, you know, yeah, that's my view of it. Is I hope there's room for, everyone to thrive and everyone um, to find either the community that jives with them, or both. I mean, it doesn't have to be one or the other. You can do both, and different, groups can have different focuses.
Yeah, totally, totally, totally. And you're right. The site is funky. It looks very for the now. Um, is the focus purely going to be conference related, or is there an intention to go broader than, as in, sorry, virtual, conference in this case, or is there intention to go into some other areas that you're thinking?
I think what I understand is there is the hope to, have this kind of springboard, some other events, either local events or, um, help the community organize in other ways going forward. But I don't know. I don't know if there's specifics, and I know not everyone wants to hear about COVID, but there's just this reality, especially in the U.S. There's a reality of the fact that things are going to be different, at least for the rest of this year. And so a lot of things, a lot of hopes and dreams that we might have around those types of activities, are not going to materialize in the short term. So, so who knows? I mean, I think time's going to tell. I think it's exciting though to have, organization around something that's free for members. I don't know, I don't know how many companies are signed up for Dynamics communities, but I think no matter what, there's cost barriers, especially when you get to things like the Power Platform, where you're looking for smaller members. Those cost barriers may be significant and may be tough to get over. So I think it's exciting to have, a community that's open to anybody who wants to participate.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. So you're obviously speaking at the event. And I can see you're on the on the website.
Only if I get enough votes. Even I, I know it says I'm a featured speaker, but my understanding is I threw my hat in the ring early, but my understanding is it's all going to be vote based. So I'm doing my best to vote early and often and stuff the ballot box in my favor. But I wrote a blog about it and am trying to get support. But yeah, that's I hope to be speaking there. Yes.
I like it. I like it. And it's so good for you to come on and just chat about, your experience post, MVP, as I say, it's quite unique. What was the highlight across your tenure as an MVP for you? Just one.
It's got to be the summits. I don't know that I could pick one, but just, I think that's what I immediately thought of when I is not getting to go to those events and hang out with friends that I've made for years and years and years, and we see each other every year at the summit, and it's just amazing. And so that part is definitely the highlight of what I've experienced. And friends, MVP friends, but also building those Microsoft relationships, because there's just no substitute for talking to product groups and different managers within Microsoft, and getting your feedback to them in person, in that kind of event in a smaller room is just it's an amazing experience.
I love it. I love it. Awesome. Well, good chatting with you. Let's jump into some quick fire questions.
Sure.
What's the best scary story you have?
The best scary story I have. Wow. I don't know. Pass.
Okay. All right. What's the top 3 things on your bucket list?
Okay. finding a place to eventually settle down as part of my nomad trip is definitely one. I'll be a little more modest or a little smaller with the second one is like getting to travel again to fun places. The nice thing is we always save every month for travel, so that's building up. Third thing on my bucket list is, I don't know if it's a bucket item, but I would say getting back to my creative passions.
Nice. That's cool. That's cool. Would you rather be slightly late or super early?
Super early.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. I'm the guy who's like sitting for the flight 2 hours before it has to leave.
Who's your favorite celebrity?
Barack Obama.
Nice. What's the best thing about the opposite agenda?
The opposite agenda?
No, the opposite gender.
Gender.
Yeah, yeah.
Phew. I thought we were going to get into politics. I was worried.
Gender.
Empathy and teaching me empathy.
If you could do anything next year, what would it be?
Anything I would get on a plane to. How about New Zealand? Let's see.
Nice. I like it. Joel, it's been great having you on the show. Before you go, where can people vote for your submission, connect with you on things like Twitter, LinkedIn? What do they need to look up to find you?
Pretty much anywhere on the internet, you can find me at Joel Leichty. So I'm at Joel Leichty on Twitter, joelleichty.com for the website. And you can spell my name based on looking at the title of the show. So should be good to go there.
Thanks once again for listening and joining us for the show. Hopefully you found that interesting and definitely give a different lens on some of the things around, exiting the MVP program. Feel free to check out the show notes, nz365guy.com/227. See you next time.